Yo, what is going on, everybody? This is Beanie and welcome back to another video. Sorry a video hasn't been out in a few days, guys. Over the weekend I was sick as fuck, everybody. Like, I was so freaking sick. And I couldn't really make a video. I was just too down and out. I really wasn't doing much of anything. But I'm feeling a little bit better today. I'm starting to get a little bit well. So decided that I would finish up the NL Central and do this all-time Cubs series. So yeah, with that being said, let's get into it. Okay, starting out with the starting pitchers, the top two pitchers are absolutely dominant. You have this 99 overall Fergie Jenkins that at the beginning of the year I didn't really like that much, but after facing him a few times, I actually really like this pitcher basically because he has one of the nastiest pitches in this game. That forkball is just absolutely filthy. It looks just like a fastball coming in, and then it just drops off the table, and it's so slow. He throws it like 79. He has great speed differential, a really, really good top-of-the-rotation guy to go along with Jake Arrieta, who in all honesty would probably be your number one. I know a lot of people are kind of down on this Arrieta card, but I still think he's probably one of the most dominating pitchers in the game. Definitely a top 5 pitcher in my opinion. I really like this Jake Arrieta card. Those are the only two diamonds though in this rotation. After that, you have to go with the 87 overall John Lester, but it's very nice to have a lefty in your rotation that you can kind of rely on, especially one that has a nice fastball cutter sinker combo with a decent sweeping curve and a changeup to go along with it. He also has very solid per nines, so all around a very good option. Then you go with the 86 overall Jose Quintana. He gives you another lefty. Even though his per nines aren't that good, his pitch selection isn't that great. He does have really good control, and he is another lefty that you can throw out there in your lineup. And honestly, 72 velocity for a left-handed starter is pretty solid. Like, there aren't that many lefties in this game that throw all that hard, or lefties in the game that throw hard like in real life. So overall, I think this guy is a very, very usable starter in something like this. To round out the rotation, we have the 84 overall Kyle Hendricks. And I know a lot of people won't like this Kyle Hendricks card because he doesn't throw hard at all. Like, he throws freaking powder puffs. Like, he doesn't, I mean, he might top out maybe at like 87. Like, he doesn't throw hard at all. But he does have an amazing sinker. Like, he has great break on a sinker, even though he doesn't throw it that hard. And, you know, if you have a sinker, even if you don't throw the sinker all that hard, it can still be a really effective pitch if it has a lot of bite to it, and his definitely does. And, you know, whenever you're making something like this, whenever you're looking at the bottom of your rotation, it's always kind of a tricky thing because you're not always going to have those dominant guys like the 99 overall Arrieta. You've got to find guys who you can get a little bit of utility out of, and I think that this Kyle Hendricks card does that. Overall, I think the rotation is very, very solid, one of the best that we've covered so far. I really love the top end, and I think they're 2 and they're 3 relative to other teams. They're number 3 and they're number 4. I'm sorry, let me make that correction. They're number 3 and they're number 4 are really, really good compared to a lot of other teams. So I ended up giving them a final score for their pitchers of an 8.5. Okay, moving on to the bullpen. The closer of this team, almost no doubt about it, would be the 98 overall Bruce Sutter card. I'm not as big of a fan of Bruce Sutter as some people are, but he's still a great card. He's a 98 overall. He has 93, 96 per nines. He has excellent control for a relief pitcher. The only thing about this card is that he doesn't throw that hard, but he does have an incredibly nasty splitter. So he's a really good back end of the rotation option. One of your setup guys is going to be the 91 overall Wade Davis card, and admittedly, I am not that big of a fan of this Wade Davis card. He always seems to get hit hard for me, and whenever I play against him, I always tend to hit him pretty hard. But if you use him correctly, if you can really mix in that cutter and spot that knuckle curve well, he can be an effective guy. So it's pretty nice to have him on the back end. And then for your other setup guy, I thought about going with Koji Uehara, but I ended up going with the 83 overall Carl Edwards Jr. because he has amazing per nines. And then I decided to use this Koji Uehara more in like a middle relief role. He's also a card that is that can get hit pretty hard if the hitter knows what he's doing. But the thing about this card is that he has a really deceptive delivery that can be really hard to pick up sometimes. And he has 3 different fastballs that all have a lot of movement on them. You can throw that 4-seam straight, you can throw that cutter moving away from righties, and then you can throw that 2-seam that bites in on them. So, and then obviously he has that really nasty splitter to go along with it. A lot of really good splitters in this bullpen. It's kind of interesting. But then moving on, we need a lefty, so we're going to go with the 83 overall Justin Wilson card. He is a great lefty in this game, a great lefty specialist. If you can really spot that cutter on the outside corner versus lefties, he is it's one of the hardest pitches to hit in the game, is that Justin Wilson cutter spotted on the outside corner. It's very, very difficult. So it's nice to have him. That's the only lefty we're going to have, though, because rounding out the bullpen, we have to go with the 81 overall Hector Rondon, who actually, in all honesty, might be like a setup guy or more of a back end of the rotation guy, even though he's only an 81 overall. And then you go with the 80 overall Pedro Strop, who is, in my opinion, even more of a back end guy. If I were doing this like competitively, honestly, I might put this Pedro Strop in the closer role, because he, in my opinion, he's almost harder to hit than the 98 overall Bruce Sutter card or the Wade Davis card. I really, really like this Pedro Strop card. The thing that I love about this bullpen isn't the back end, isn't the diamonds in this bullpen, because honestly I'm not huge fans of them, but it's the depth. It's the back end. It's the fact that you have Justin Wilson as a lefty, and then your 2 quote-unquote worst bullpen guys are Hector Rondon and Pedro Strop going by overall. And in my opinion, they're like 2 of the best relievers in the game. Like, they're definitely like a top 25 reliever in this game, in my opinion. So on the back of that, I think this is a well above average bullpen, a very, very solid core. And I ended up giving them a score of a 7.7. All right, on to the lineup. I know a lot of people would want me to put this Wilson Contreras card at catcher just because, he's kind of like a hot commodity right now. But I'm not going to do that. I like this 86 overall Giovanni Soto just a little bit better than that Wilson Contreras card. He's just a little bit better of a hitter. That Wilson Contreras card will definitely make it onto the team, though. I just think that this 86 overall Soto is probably the best starting option for me. At first base, we have to go with the 89 overall Anthony Rizzo. I don't know how this guy is in a diamond. It seems like he has kind of proven himself over the course of the past few years. He is a great hitter, a big-time lefty that we can throw in like the 5-hole or the 6-hole, maybe even earlier than that. But a great, and another bonus with this card is he's also a great fielder. I don't really care about that much with first base, but it's obviously it's a pretty nice thing to have, having a good defensive first baseman. So that's pretty nice. And then at second base, there's just no way to get around the fact that you have to throw in this 99 overall Ryan Sandberg card, an absolute monster against righties, who has a little bit of pop versus lefties too. Doesn't have great contact, but that vision kind of makes up for it. So a great second baseman there. At third base, we have to go obviously with 92 overall Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant is an absolute stud. A young guy who is just, an MVP candidate year in and year out. Great guy to have over there at third base. I would like it if you were a little bit better against righties, but, you get what you can in something like this. And then at shortstop, we have, in my opinion, probably the best shortstop in the game, the 97 overall Ernie Banks card. I like him more than the Cal Ripken, to be honest with you. I think that this card is an absolute monster. And I think that he's a great card to have over there at shortstop. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this 97 overall Ernie Banks. And moving on to the outfield. You have to start out with a 90 overall Kyle Schwarber card, an absolute lefty, just monster. Throw him out there in left field. He doesn't have great defense. He doesn't have great speed. But what he does have is he just has an incredible bat. I know that people have played with this card and said that he's like the most powerful hitter in the game versus righties. All he does is hit bombs for them. And I believe it. This card is just an absolute stud. out there in left field. Even though he's not great defensively, he's going to be your number 3 hitter, maybe your number 4 hitter. He's just an absolute monster. And then in center field, this was where it got a little bit tricky, because I could have moved some things around, put Chris Bryant in the outfield, moved Andre Dawson to center, whatever. But I couldn't really do that and figure out a way to put my infield together. So then I thought about it, and I was like, okay, well, maybe this 80 overall Jason Hayward card. And I had him in center, and I was like, okay, well, he has great defense. He hits righties okay, has some decent speed. But then I looked around, and I was like, no. I'm putting the 78 overall Lou Brock card in center field, and hear me out. I know that I'm giving up some defense, but I don't think I'm giving up that much defense, because he has 84 reaction to go along with 99 speed. That means he is going to be covering a ton of ground. He might make a few errors from time to time with that 68 fielding. That's a given, and he doesn't have the strongest arm. But I think that you'll be able to get to most balls, and he's going to be reliable for the most part. I know with the Diamond Lou Brock, I haven't had any problems defensively. Granted, I haven't played him in center field, but that's beside the point. This card has, I think, will be very, very good in center field for you, or not very, very good, but good enough to justify having him in there. But the big reason I wanted him in my lineup was that, first of all, he hits righties very well, 79-71 versus righties. Has a decent amount of power, not a lot of power, but a decent amount, enough to hit the ball out. And he has 99 speed. He is going to be your leadoff hitter. He is going to steal a ton of bases. I love having a guy like this on the team, and I think he would add a lot of value in that capacity. And then in right field, obviously, you have to go with the 95 overall Andre Dawson card. First of all, I love that card art. He looks so freaking weird in that picture. It's so disturbing. I don't know what he was doing in that picture, but it's an awesome card. And defensively, he's an absolute stud with a cannon of an arm, tons of defensive assists, all that stuff. Going to be very reliable out there for you. And at the plate, he's also a monster. 73, 97, 82, 88 with 74 vision. Just an absolutely devastating card. And if you don't have the 99 Dawson, I think that this card is honestly a really good alternative that could provide a lot of value to your team, and I think he'll provide a lot of value to this team. So I really like having the 95 Andre Dawson there. And moving on to the bench. On the bench, we have to start out with the 84 overall Starlin Castro card. Great contact hitter. Is always going to have a really big PCI, so that's always nice to have. And honestly, I played with this card a lot in Battle Royale, and he seems to have a lot more power than the 43, 46 would indicate. So big fan of this card. And then, obviously we need a backup catcher, and that's where the 86 overall Wilson Contreras comes in. And a bonus with this card is that he can also play left field, and, that's pretty valuable on this team, because if you wanted to platoon him with, say, Kyle Schwarber or somebody like that, you can do that. And he can also provide good backup to the Giovanni Soto, so I really like having him on the bench. And then you get a utility guy in the 83 overall Ben Zobrist. He's a switch hitter, can play tons of positions, and he hits lefties pretty good with good vision and above 50 power, which I think is that threshold for you to be able to hit home runs. He's also a good defender. Overall, a very solid card. Then you go down, and I decided to throw the 80 overall Jason Hayward in as the 4th spot on my bench. I really like this card. He's a good hitter versus righties, and he's a defensive monster. If you don't feel comfortable having Schwarber or Lou Brock out in center field, this guy could come in as a defensive replacement late in games just to give you a more reliable glove out there. And then to round it out, I decided to do the 81 overall Javier Baez, another kind of utility guy who can play basically anywhere on the infield and can also play center field, which is a good thing, has decent defense, and he crushes left-handed pitching. He's not that great versus righties, but against lefties, he can really get the job done. So that rounds out the bench. Put putting the lineup and the bench together, I think it is a great. I think it's probably one of the best in the NL Central. They have a lot of power. They have a decent amount of speed. They have a lot of utility guys on their bench that can come in and fill roles. They don't really have any holes. I mean, I guess you could call the 78 overall Lou Brock a hole, but he's just such a great leadoff hitter that I don't really view him that way. So overall, I think it's a fantastic lineup and bench, and I ended up giving them a score of an 8.0. Adding all of that up, the Cubs come out with a final score of 24.2, which gives them the NL Central. We are done with the NL Central, and the Cubs are the NL Central champion. I think everybody pretty much expected that, just because their live series cards are so good to go along with some excellent flashbacks, $3.99 overalls. They have great pitching. They have a great bullpen. They have a great lineup. They're just the entire package. They don't end up passing the Dodgers, which is interesting. The Dodgers still remain on top overall, but you know the way that we're doing this is when we get down to only having we have the division winners and then the best team that didn't win their division, and we're going to do like a playoff style to see who the best overall team is actually on the field. I'm going to recreate these teams and put them on the field. So we'll see how the Cubs do there, but for right now, they win the NL Central, which is awesome. They end up passing the Brewers and the Cardinals and all those cats. So yeah, guys, the Cubs are champions, and I will see you guys later on. And yeah, guys, I hope you are having a great day. You know, I hope I'm in your thoughts. And I hope that you want me to feel better so I can make more videos, because right now I still kind of feel like crap. And but I needed to get a video out, and I decided that I would. And yeah, guys, I will see y'all later on. Peace.